Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1175, written by MyNameIsntPatrick. The Moonlit Time Heist. 10 years ago, I was returning home from a trip with two friends. I received a call from my parents asking when we would be arriving, and I explained that we were about 25 minutes away. About a minute later, we came around a bend. It was a full moon, and we could see the reflection from a lake below us, and other than that, the road was completely empty. Suddenly, everything went completely dark in the car. No lights from the dash or gauges or headlights on the road. The music also stopped and restarted at the beginning of the song we were listening to. There was now a vehicle pulled over by the police about a quarter mile in front of us that hadn't been there a split second before. I assumed I had dozed off for just a second as it was late. I thought it was still quite peculiar though. After about a minute, the driver of the car turned the music all the way down and said, "Did that just happen to anyone else?" The other passenger in the back seat sat forward abruptly and exclaimed, "I thought I just fell asleep." We then realized that the clock in the car was reading an hour later than it had just a minute before. To keep ourselves from freaking out, we decided that the car had possibly had a momentary electrical failure and reset the clock to an odd time, turned off the dash lights, headlights, and gauges, and restarted the CD player. But when we arrived home 25 minutes later, we were an hour late. I am missing an hour of my life and to this day have no idea how it happened. Case notes of file 1175, The Moonlit Time Heist. There are two ordinary explanations that popped into my mind that I'd like to brush aside because I don't think they actually fit. The first is narcolepsy or microsleep, conditions where one involuntarily falls asleep for brief periods of time, often without any perception of having fallen asleep. If the story was about a single person, just you driving alone, maybe. But three? Impossible for this to happen to three people unless it was an induced memory loss from some external force or being. So yeah, aliens are a possibility, but I don't think this is some natural phenomena of just people having narcolepsy, three of them at the same exact time. No way. The second is quantum immortality. It can't be a new universe, because that doesn't explain the time loss. All universes in the multiverse are running concurrently. In other words, the same clock ticks for all of them, with exceptions of variance within personal reference frames, but nothing would shift time in another universe on Earth by any measurable amount, unless like a black hole entered the solar system and that only one universe. So all we're left here is, in my opinion, is alien abduction, a trio. Or a space-time warp? But my guess is aliens. Space-time anomalies don't affect electronics, at least as far as any story I've heard. But aliens do. Their technology interferes with our electronic processes. Case file number 1176, written by locotxwork. The Thunderbird sighting. This happened not to me, but to my mom. When I was younger, about 7, my mother and stepfather went to bingo and left me with the neighbors. Anyways, when they got back from their night out, they came rushing in, closed the doors, and were out of breath and kind of freaking out. I'm playing with their kids, and I'm overhearing my mom, stepfather, neighbor, and her husband, and they are talking in the kitchen, and my mom is explaining in Spanish. It stopped in the road, and the cars all stopped, and it spread its wings and then flew away. It was huge. Some guy tried to run it over. So I asked my mom about it, and she said, "It's nothing." The next morning, we go to eat breakfast at a restaurant, and she overhears some people at another table talking, and one of the ladies says, "It just landed and it was big, almost as big as a car, and then it flew away." And my mom asks them, "Did you see that bird last night too?" And they start talking about this huge bird that landed on the road, flapped its wings, and then flew off. Now fast forward when I'm in college, and we're talking about strange things, and I had shared this experience, and we're talking and goofing around, maybe it was a pterodactyl, and one guy, a stranger from another table, looks at us and says in a calm, serious voice, "Your mom saw a Thunderbird." I looked it up and it freaked me out. I always thought my mom made up the story to keep kids in line, but then the restaurant thing laid validity, and then the college guy was very serious about it. Case notes of file 1176, The Thunderbird sighting. So I had to look up what a Thunderbird referred to, never heard before. North American indigenous peoples' lore and cultural roots, emanating from northeastern populations, creating thunder by flapping its wings and lightning by flapping its eyes. Pretty cool. I'm not sure about lightning, but I could see a type of bird flapping its wings fast enough to break the sound barrier, causing the loud boom effect. I think whatever your mom saw and others was very real. There's so much out there on our little blue dot that we have yet to discover, and plenty of species of animals that may be really rare and try to avoid humans. I mean, if you think about it, if it's a bird that can fly, it'd be pretty easy to avoid detection by humans. Maybe there are some species of birds like this Thunderbird that simply don't like to interact with humans or be near them. Plenty of animals are afraid of humans and avoid contact. If you can fly, well, you can avoid almost any contact. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if giant birds like this exist, but at a small population level, I would say. Not many of them. Bonus file written by Tonzilla, The Dark Secrets of Clinton Road. Clinton Road, New Jersey is home to strange history, grim myths, and straight-up ghost stories, which makes it an ideal destination for bored teens who just got their licenses. One night, shortly after my friend passed his driving test, he picked me up in his dad's car, which had those obnoxious blue headlights that blinded me as he pulled up my driveway. We pick up some more people, drive around aimlessly, decide to go to Clinton Road and throw a coin over the bridge to see if the ghost kid throws it back, one of the many legends associated with the place. As we're driving along the road towards the bridge, a car with its left headlight passes us, coming the other way, and one of the girls shouts, "Padiddle," which made everyone laugh because most people stopped saying this around age 9. A few minutes later, another car with its headlights out passes, and my friend, the driver, screams, "Padiddle," kind of mocking the girl. 3 more cars without a left light pass us, which we're on alert for now, so we could each be the first one to say "Padiddle." By the last one, which was a cop, we were all screaming at the top of our lungs, not really noticing how odd it was that 5 of the 8 or so cars that passed us had a light out. We pull over at the bridge, do the coin thing, nothing happens, and we get ready to go back. Frustrated that I had never been remotely scared or excited. It was probably my 3rd or 4th time there. While the people I was with always were, I decided to really try to scare myself. So I told my friend to leave me there and drive down the road until I couldn't see his headlights, and then turn around and come back just so I could be alone in complete darkness in the middle of the woods and let my imagination run wild with the stories of ghost Corvettes, strange meetings, Wiccans, mafia graveyards, ghost forest rangers, and all the other stories I'd heard. After finally convincing everyone to go through with it, they get in the car and turn it on. I run straight to the door and start pounding on it for them to let me in. Confused about how rapidly I changed my mind after arguing with them for so long, they asked why I was suddenly so scared. "Because I know for a fact you had 2 working headlights when we got here," I said. "And now, the left one is out." Notes for the bonus file, The Dark Secrets of Clinton Road. So something was causing car headlights to go out, bursted open or just electronically disabled. Could be spirits in the area, trying to make their presence felt in a way that couldn't be attributed to random chance? Especially given that it's always a left light that goes out on these cars. Seems like the spirits are trying to communicate a message, but I'm not sure what left could be referring to in this context. Related to Clinton Road? Turn left? Maybe they mean to say run, go away, you're not welcome here? I could see that. Spirits could be territorial too. And now time for the quote of the day. Civilization is the process of reducing the infinite to the finite. Oliver Wendell Holmes. This is a quote that sits with you and makes you maybe more easily boil down to battling against entropy. Everything wants to spread out and reduce order, and we constantly try to increase order. Mold the universe to our doing and our use. But the thing is, no matter what we do, we increase entropy in the grand scale of the universe, but we can locally reduce it. It's kind of like an air conditioner where you can reduce the temperature in your home, but it'll increase the temperature outside. The total entropy increases, the disorder. But that's okay, because the universe is so massive, we don't really have to worry about there being too much disorder out there. As long as we control our environment, we're okay. So, I mean, civilization is pretty cool like that. And technology, if you haven't noticed, I like technology. And like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony, signing off.